Hey mom, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Lindsay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're just hanging out back in, Charleston, and it's fall. It feels like the best time of year around here.
I was saying the same thing. Like, it is the perfect time to be on this island. There's no humidity. It's absolutely gorgeous out. The only problem is I'm surrounded by people that don't work, and I work, which is a problem because they're all enjoying this weather. And I, on the other hand, am enjoying time
On a
with you guys. How
podcast.
about that? Yeah.
Well, I am super pumped to introduce our guest for today. We have Monica Adwani from Breezy joining us, and we're going to chat about a bunch of fun stuff. So I'm super excited. Hey, Monica, how's it going?
Hi, Lindsay. Hey, Carey. I'm super happy to be here. Super excited to have this conversation. I just hope that in the future, my daughter accepts to do a podcast with me. She usually interviews me for my reels, but this is like goals right here.
It
Yeah.
is. I agree with you. I am with you. Well, I got to tell you, Monica, I am thankful every single day that Lindsay is willing to do this podcast with me. There's a lot of people that put posts out and say, back to school right now. There's people that are dropping their kids off at college, et cetera. And they're like, oh, it'll never be the same. And
Yeah.
somehow I found a way to get her to work with me and do a podcast with me. So basically, I see her more now than I saw her when she was in college. So that's a good thing,
That's
right? Yeah.
So
amazing.
true.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it.
How
Well,
old is
I
your
love
daughter,
seeing,
Monica?
what's that?
How old is your daughter, Monica?
It's 13. So I just started high school. Pray for me.
Yes, yes. She has plenty of time to join the industry and get on a podcast. I think it'll
Uh,
happen someday.
at some point.
Yeah.
So, Monica, there's nothing that I love more than seeing strong, successful females in this industry. And I love seeing strong, successful males as well. But I have a soft spot in my heart for females that are blazing some trails. And you, my
Hmm.
friend, would fit into that category significantly. For the people
Thank
that
you.
don't know you, give us a little bit of your journey. Like, what's your background? Why insurance? And bring us to today. Like, what's that journey look like?
Lord. Okay. So I was raised and born in Puerto Rico. So for 20 years before I moved to the Massachusetts, I had no idea what insurance was. So we're good there. Like anybody else, I fell into insurance by chance. But I came to Massachusetts. I have a background on IT and coding. So I came to Massachusetts to be an analyst at a lab. And unfortunately, after about a year, that lab decided to pick up and go to California. And I was like, I'm not moving, I'm staying. So I became jobless. In looking and looking, because I wanted to stay on that medical line, I found a job at the Liberty Mutual Institute for Safety. And I learned insurance from a research standpoint. So I was analyzing data, helping researchers. I was helping run the center with like, skip driver trainings and claims training that was coming in and setting up presentations and whatnot. So I was introduced to the world of insurance from a risk management standpoint. And then I had the opportunity to jump and be working at home office in Boston, where I did like different rotations between operations, sales, customer service, claims. So I learned the background. So I stayed there for like 7 years or so. And then my friends opened an independent agency. And shortly after they opened, it was in a startup. So it was kind of exciting because I get bored very easily. So I need to like do new things every single day and get excited every single day. They asked me if I wanted to come and join. And I say yes. I was employee number 4, and we grew that agency tremendously. It was super successful. We brought it to a sale. I was there for 8 years, and then after that I'm like, what am I going to do now? Because I really didn't like the corporate structure and whatnot, and I was craving to do something with purpose, right? Because I've been working towards purpose all the time, and that was exciting to grow it, to the challenges that came with it, putting the entire structure together operationally, sales, everything. So I decided to leave shortly after the sale, like a year after. And I opened my own consulting firm called New Rise Consulting, where we help independent insurance agency owners with, structuring their agency in a way that is going to become self-sustainable in the future and not dependent on the owner. So
Mm.
basically, my background in what I do day in and day out, even on my own agency, is helping insurance agency owners figure out what are the risks that they currently have, and understand their gaps, their structure, if they have processes or not. And if they were to take themselves out of the equation, how will that agency runs without them, right? Like, do you really have a sustainable, sellable business in the future without you? And that's what I've been doing for a very long time now. With that came an opportunity for me to become a partner at one of my clients' agencies. And I say yes. It was a very big challenge because I never worked with the Hispanic community before. And that was, it's my community. And I'm like, you know what? I think this is a time. And I really had to forget everything I had learned and relearn how this community worked, purchase, how they served everything. So it's been 4 years since I became a partner here at Breezy Seguros. That's the name, not insurance. Breezy Seguros. And it's been an amazing experience. I feel like I have the best of both worlds now, because we have, as an industry, we have to become inclusive on how we service and how we acquire clients. And I learned that one process doesn't really fit all the clients that you want to bring to the door. So it's been a great roller coaster. And I've been 20 years now in this industry, and it's been amazing.
I love, love, love that. One of the things you said was you get bored and you were the fourth employee. So my first career, I was the ninth employee in a startup that we ended up taking public. And
Nice.
honestly, there's nothing like getting in at the ground floor and having a part in shaping something that you see um, to a conclusion. For you, the agency sold and you feel a great sense of pride that, you were able to be part of that growth and see it. It's nobody can really describe that feeling, but once you catch the bug, it's hard to uncatch it is my experience. Like,
Yeah.
the way I described it is I'll never be a person that can work in a really large organization that has red tape, because I was in a small organization that was very nimble and was able to actually move and operate in a different way. So, that's how it's manifested for me. But for you, it sounds like it's creating lots of different things and using that knowledge in a different way, which is pretty exciting, Monica.
It is. And I think, it opened my eyes to understand the differences between, working on some sort of a startup with, like, smaller teams rather than larger teams. Like, I did try to help, like, establish longevity type of agencies. And when it takes more than 3 days to make a decision, I'm out. I'm like, no, I can't do this. So, in my career, it did created this niche where I am super comfortable working with people that been doing the agency thing for less than 20 years, but more than 20 is not my, you know, my cup of tea, because we need to make sure that we move fast, that we make decisions fast, that we get the buy-in from people, that we just, go, go, go. And that has been my life for the past, half of more than half of my career now. So I totally hear you, Carrie. It's super hard to kind of, go to that bureaucracy that inside the bigger corporations.
Well, and I think you saying I like to move fast and I get bored and I want to move forward and do things is a perfect analogy for how clients feel with insurance, right?
Yeah.
They're frustrated when they can't move fast and they can't get to someone or they can't get to what they need or whatever. So I think that's really, really
Yeah.
interesting and cool that the things that you're feeling, you're transferring into how can I make my clients have that same experience, or the
Yeah,
agency's clients. But yeah.
it's so funny because recently I was one of the carriers. They were presenting like their customer service reports and whatnot. And we were laughing all in the room because they were going through a case where like the client called, right? And it has been 15 seconds and they already sending a chat, and there has been another 15 seconds and they're already making another phone call. So in today's world, right, like just like you mentioned, that it's unfortunately we're now wired of getting everything to the touch of our fingers, right? And in our industry, we need to catch up to that. We're not even close to that, but
Yeah, we're not.
is definitely creating a lot of issues with retention, with business sales, right? Where more and more online carriers are taking over the market because of the speed of what they can work. But at the same time, they end up losing it right away because they don't have the service capacity that an agent will have. So it's like, how do we find that happy medium and how do we educate the client that not everything is retail, right? Like
Yeah.
insurance is not retail. So it's been exciting. I think we do need to adapt. I mean, we're not gonna get to that 15 second. I don't think so,
Yeah.
not anytime soon, but definitely as an industry, we need to pay attention to what is that the customers want, and how they operate, which is very different.
So, Monica, I'm interested because you said that you've worked with multiple different agencies in your consulting. What kind of strategies are you seeing be effective in bridging the gap of response time being quicker for clients?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do, so we have a proprietary eight pillar assessment that we do for every single agency. And, when we go to the operational risk side of it, we kind of study how we're communicating, how are we communicating with the client. And the one thing that I discovered very early, in when I started doing this work, is that most agencies want the client to adapt to how they want to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
and is the other way around. The agency has to adapt on how the client wants to communicate. So, to give you an example, as of my agency here, right, I come from a world that email, right, is everything, right? Most X type of client like an email, and then they will reply and they will send you everything by email. And then once you're ready, they will hop on a phone call, right?
Mm-hmm.
My agency, 95% of my clients do not open an email. And all they do is text messaging through WhatsApp or
Mm-hmm.
SMS, which
Yeah.
is totally different than. So we attend to about 7,000 unique messages every single month, right?
Whoa.
And there is zero to nothing email. The only emails that we send are onboarding emails with their coverage pages, and then if they have a claim, because we have to send documentation, and that's the only way we can get the documentation, right? But other than that, even to sign the policy, we just have to send a message with a
Mm.
link and they will sign the
Wow.
policy that way. Who are our clients, right? Like, we got to study who are our clients. How do they communicate? Do I have a niche? Do I have a wide variety of them? Like, how am I going to cater to them without sacrificing too much on my ends, right? But
Right.
adapting to the way that they want to be serviced today. And that's one of the examples. It doesn't longer work for us to build a process where we are building that process because that's what works for our team. You have to build a process that works for the client. And
Yeah.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest difference. That's where we spend most of our time on.
Yeah. So Monica, I'm thinking to myself, I there were agencies in the middle of COVID that still had to go into the office because the carriers
Mhm.
still sent snail mail policies and that was the only reason they actually had to drive to their office was to get that literally hard copy of that
Yeah.
policy. And now you're telling me the only emails you send are, I mean, you, it couldn't be more further apart. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's super interesting. So in order to do what you're saying, you got to pick the right partners, you got to pick the right partner teammates, you got to pick the right whatever in order to
Carriers.
match your customers. And I think that's where a lot of this breaks down. You know, like we
Yeah.
have what, four generations in the workforce right now, maybe even five.
Hmm.
Breaking the thought process of what it always has been and what it will be, I think, is one of the biggest challenges in our industry. So it's just so funny as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, you know, that was the only reason some people actually even have a location or continued to have a location because of who they
I
were
have
affiliated with.
four.
Yeah.
I have four locations because even though my clients they do everything through like text or phone call, they still want to come here to make sure that we are real and that we exist and we're not stealing their money.
Yeah, of
There is still
course.
a section of those clients that even today they're like, I am gonna give you my credit card, but I need to see you first. And then we have to FaceTime, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
you never know. And believe it or not, so I have four locations in Massachusetts. And while others are shrinking, had to expand on that operation. And in my main location here, I still receive about 400 walk-ins on a monthly basis.
Wow. So
So even
interesting. And
though
you
it's so
communicate via text,
digital,
which, yeah, yeah.
even though it's so digital after the fact, right? There is still a bunch of transactions that they will prefer to come here, and we have a coffee bar. So they come, serve themselves coffee, get their pound cake, hang out, bring their children, and then they chat with us for half an hour, and then we make a payment that takes 5 minutes, right? So even though we are like so digital, our clientele here at the agency, at this specific agency, because they are from a culture that requires personal touch, right? The 80% of my clients are Brazilian and 20% are Spanish speakers, and I will say maybe 15%, and then I have a 5% of a mix of Americans or whatever. And they need that interaction, person to person. It will never go away because that's who they are as a community. They have to make sure that they have a relationship with you. We had a client that had a child, and you know where was the first place that he came from the hospital? Here. He then went home. He
Wow.
came here
Crazy.
and he brought his
Wow.
little baby here. So you need to know your clientele. You need to know your niche. You need to understand what their needs are. How are they adapting? What they're never going to change. There are certain things that they're never going to change, right? So,
So let me ask you a question because you don't do this on your own. And I think the best builders build together with other people that share the same values and they think in the same ways. So when you think about building and expanding Breezy, who are the
mhm.
partners that you most rely on and why?
Yeah, so I was brought in to already a partnership that existed of three best friends. They were Brazilian with different backgrounds, IT, economics, and international relations, but they were missing the insurance part. So they run this agency for about 5 years before I came in. And I think, it is extremely important to surround yourself with people that bring different skills to the table. My goal has been, I mean, we have a big team now, and my goal has always been to replicate myself and make sure that people learn uh, the skills in order, like, if I am not here one day, they can take over and move forward. And I think that the one mistake that partnerships do is to never give the team the chance to learn your skills, right? So even though here my partners are semi-retired and they're super young, but they're semi-retired because the team um, runs. I still have, they're super young, so we still have to do a lot of training. I wouldn't say babysitting, but it's very, very hands-on, right? Because they're young. My entire team doesn't have more than 7 years in the industry. So, we're building a new workforce, right? But I think having different skills from different partners, but not just having them, but translating them to other people is the most important thing. I know I can leave right now, and if something happens, someone here in the office will do the same thing as I would have handled it. And that's the most important thing. So, surrounding yourself with the right team members, and people that you can teach insurance. You cannot teach kindness. You cannot teach a go-getter attitude. You cannot teach just being human.
Empathy. You can't teach empathy. Like you either
Empathy.
have it or you don't,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
I totally agree with that.
So we're always looking for people that even though they don't have the insurance skills, that they are adaptable. And that's the most important thing. If you're adaptable, you're kind, and you want to do good for others, then you have a space in here, and we can teach you the technical things that you need.
Well,
Partnerships, and I don't call them my employees. They are my team, and they're my counterparts.
yeah.
They need to have those characteristics 100% of the time.
And when it comes back to transferability of the agency, of the book, of the operations of the organization, it's good to have multiple people involved and have people cross trained.
Yeah.
We've done whole podcasts, we've done articles. We need a case study on this actually, but
We do.
transferability of your agency is one thing that people forget about, which is
Hmm.
strange because it's the most important part of this asset you've built yourself to sell at the end of your career whenever you decide to sell. So doing exactly what you just said is what makes it an asset that's able to get top dollar, right?
Yeah.
So incredibly
I
important. I love
always,
that you're working on
yeah.
that.
I always ask the question to my clients, right? My insurance agency clients. I always ask them, what role do you really want to have within your agency? Do you want to sell? Do you want to service? Do you want to be the owner? Or do you just want to make sure that you are leaving a legacy behind? Because the four of them are very different
Yeah.
answers, each one of them, right? And if you want to be all of them, well, you're out of luck. But it's like you have to choose one. And once they come to that realization of like, I get the thrill from the sale, but I don't get the thrill from like having to deal every day with the operational stuff, with the finance stuff, with all this. And I was like, so you
Yeah.
really need to choose a hat. You need to choose the hat, because how you're gonna show up is then how you're going to set up everything else around you, right?
It's true.
So if you tell me that you want to be selling for the next 25 years, nobody's going to believe that,
True.
you're gonna get tired of it, and then you're gonna be like, well, I didn't hire enough producers, and then you're gonna be miserable. I think people understanding that transferability, what is that they should be doing. You're not good at everything. Not because you're the owner means that you're good or you should do everything. I think it's where we fail the most, because then we're like, I don't have enough team members. Oh, this person is not working. But did you really train that person? Did you really have the SOPs? Do you really have this, baseline of what, you really wanted this to look like? So I think that's where we spend most of the time on. It's just small realizations for people.
Yeah.
So, Monica, I got to tell you, I'm sitting here smiling as you're talking because you could be the spokesperson for us in what we do. I mean, we do valuations, and many times we deliver the message of what you're saying simply
Mm-hmm.
because your numbers look great. You're growing, you're profitable, you got a great carrier mix, you've got great clients. The problem is you. Like the problem is the owner, the one that I'm talking to, delivering this valuation. Without you, all the relationships that refer to you might
Gone.
go away. All the referral partners might go away. Half the book relationships will go away because you're holding it so tight and you haven't brought anybody else in there. The team
No.
depends on you. They don't think anyone else can do anything other than you. the carrier relationships. It's you. And that means, guess what? If something happens to you, the ongoing operation of this agency is now questionable. And any buyer buying something that has question marks are going to discount it unless you're willing to stay and work for someone else. And the reality is, most
You won't.
entrepreneurs don't want to work for somebody else. Like, that's the reality, right? So I'm sitting here smiling, thinking, oh my goodness, I need you to be like, maybe you could go out in front of us and say, hey, here's the thing. So anyway, just kind of
We're
funny.
gonna say
You
before
are
you
I
get on
love
an
saying the
it.
intro call
message.
with us, before you get on an
Yeah.
intro call with us, you have to go talk to Monica. Sorry,
I
she's our
love it.
mascot. You got to go talk to her before you talk to
I love
anyone.
it. I love it. But it is so true. It is so true. So, for example, when I came here, right, as a partner, I had a couple things. I did not speak the language. I did not speak Portuguese at that time, and 100% of the clientele spoke Portuguese. I did
That's
not
tough.
know. I did not know the partners. So we weren't like friends or anything like that, right? We made an arrangement as professionals that trusted each other and that knew that we could work well together. So I had that going on. And then, when stepping in and it's the same thing I see, it could be a husband and a wife, or it could be like best friends, or it could be like, he was the top producer at such company. I was top producer at such company. So we decided to open it together. And now, so the realization of what you just said, Carrie, where you tell them, listen, you don't have a team problem, you have a you problem. We are the problem. So here,
Yeah.
it took me some time. It took me some time because everybody has put so much sweat and tears into everything they've built, and nobody's taking that away. But when it's time to start delegating and restructuring and overall making decisions that you really need to get out of your pocket to like put this person into work, because at the end of the day, the ROI is going to be like 9 months from now, not now. But you got to make that sacrifice. Those are tough conversations no one wants to hear.
I get it.
And
Yeah.
even for myself, when I had to hire someone to replace me on my old position, I was like, hold on, we're gonna do this in a timeline, right? Like even for me, it's still hard sometimes.
Sure. Sure. It's
But
hard for
I
me.
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's hard for
yeah,
all of us. If you're a leader and you care about the business that you're working in, it's still hard. That doesn't mean that listen, the best things in life that you have to do aren't always easy. That's for sure.
that's
Like,
right.
that's for sure. So,
That's right.
well,
That's
Monica,
right.
we could talk to you for days. There's no two ways around that. I will tell you, I was thrilled when I got to meet you at one of the Big I conventions. I'm thrilled getting to know you through this podcast. I'm confident we will stay connected. I love the
Yeah.
work that you're doing for agents. It's so symbiotic with the work that we're doing. And
Yeah.
like I said, I love seeing strong, really successful females in this industry. It's fantastic. So I hope that your daughter chooses to do a podcast, any podcast, whatever with you. That would be amazing. So maybe
Hopefully,
we'll make sure
hopefully
we
the
send her this.
podcast.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
already
it's
told me
fun.
she's not doing insurance, so we'll see.
Hey, my daughter said that too, so
Yeah,
don't believe her. Like,
we all say
listen,
that.
just don't believe her. Yeah. Anyway,
Thank you guys for having me. And, anything I can help with or any conversation, I'm very happy to have it with anybody. I think it's extremely important for us to continue to show up and talk our industry into what the future looks like. So I appreciate the opportunity and super happy to have participated here with you.
yeah, we're glad you were our guest. Thank you.